Here.
What's that?
We're here.
Here.
Yep. And no, folks, it's not just me today. He'll be here in a minute. Oh, here he is. Well, welcome, folks, piano geeks and enthusiasts. Welcome back to another episode of Marc and Elmer's PSI. Piano Scene. Yeah, so anyways, week number 2, we're still having trouble with the speaker system at the store, so I'm still playing, rather on a whisper at this point. It sort of comes and goes, but now I got another problem. My own piano has decided to call mutiny on me, and it started out with just 1 or 2 dampers that decided not to cooperate, to now 4 dampers that won't cooperate. So it's been like that for about 2 or 3 days now. So while practicing, I'll just tell my head, it's not there. It's not there. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. But yeah, inside I know there's something wrong.
So you're going to pay somebody to do it, or you're going to fix it?
Well, I'll take your advice and try to look into it myself. I'll pull it all out.
I was lucky. My dad did a number of things, but he was a very well-trained pianist, actually. It's just his family didn't have the money to send him on. And then he played the organ initially, but then he got a kind of office job and did stuff like that. And he was kind of an administrative office kind of guy in his primary work, but he also learned to tune pianos and do it. He was registered technician and all that.
Wow.
So he had all the tools and everything, and I learned how to do so. I used to go with him when I was a little boy, when he would tune and do things. I'd just go along, run around, play and stuff, sometimes come over and watch him do things. But because I got into historic instruments, I found that I was probably going to be the one that had best work on them. Mm-hmm. Harpsichord, forte piano, early 19th century pianos, if you ever came into. But anyway, I told Elmer, we've had we're in Central Ohio. We're definitely seeing in the weather fight between winter and spring.
Oh, yeah.
Because this week is nuts. I mean, some of the highs are in the upper 60s. Some of the lows are like 40. Yeah. I mean, no, like the low high. Yeah. So it's as much as a 20-degree difference. It's going to rain tomorrow for a couple of days, and it's going to be sunny for a couple of days. It's definitely that transition period. And yesterday, it was really quite beautiful. We had the house open. I was telling Elmer that when I stepped out of the shower, all toweled off and everything, I still felt wet because the air was so damp, Yeah. And then today, wow, the difference in humidity must be so much. But I suggested to him, you guys that don't know this, I mean, pianos are incredibly subject to weather, temperature, and things.
Yeah, they're like people.
The ideal, pretty much what they say is that, well, unless you love like incredibly warm homes, more or less, if you can be satisfied with something like 65 to 70 degrees, 45% humidity, that's ideal for a piano. In his case, I think what's going on, the little wood holes that the metal wire holds the damper, the wood is probably contracted a bit, or no, expanded because of the humidity. and or the screw holding it has become tighter because the wood has closed on it. Because there's a whole different. I don't think it's the hole itself is gotten too tight, because that would require a very different, massive job. You have to rebuild the holes and Teflon coat them or something like that.
Oh, goodness.
But no.
Oh,
This is probably just due to the wood expanding a bit, and the screw then is kind of pushing a little too much on the damper wire, which doesn't allow it to slide back down in the hole. So I told him if he pulls out his action, anybody could do this at home. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not giving you doctor advice. I am a doctor, but I'm not telling you
not that kind of
go ahead and fix your piano yourself. Pay the technicians; they're well trained and they do a good job. But if in a case like this, if you know how to slide out your action on the Grand, you can see under there the damper system, and there's a damper rail that holds these things in place. There's little screws that protrude from the little wooden chambers, and they control the tension of the wires so they don't dance around, like move around or jump around on the strings, or turn as well. If it's a small job like this, and Elmer's, he's a fit man, knows how to do stuff,
Yeah.
He might be able to fix it himself without a lot of trouble. But if you have the wherewithal to pay somebody, pay him to do it, because you can really screw.
Oh, yeah,
You know that a grand piano has more moving parts in it than a car.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me. You've
Considerably,
got 88 keys.
Considerably more, and then you've got all the screws and the whippings and all the different things for every single key. It's really astonishing.
Yeah.
So those guys that work on those things, that are make sure you get one who's certified by the Technicians Guild.
Yep.
Just to make sure they say they're guild certified. That means they've been through some pretty rigorous tests, not only in terms of tuning, but in terms of being able to fix all the kind of problems. And I mean, when you consider the fine tuning and stuff going on, these guys are like a combination of a Swiss watchmaker, a repairman, and even a guy that works on German sports cars, in terms of what they can really do for a piano. And then you got guys that are gifted in voicing and certain kind of things that can do stuff like Franz Morwestein, who worked on Horowitz's piano.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. It should be okay, Elmer.
Can I bring this up?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's something you don't need that much training with, okay? I've been asked numerous times when I'm working at the store, what do you use to clean your piano? Well, here's what I use. It's a spray you could spray on your piano. It's called Cori piano polish. Okay, so this is for super high gloss, but they've got maybe 2 or 3 other different kinds of polish there. And it's made by Cori, Cory. You could probably look it up online. And I'll also inform that they also have a line of products to clean the keys on your piano as well. So this is more or less for the outer part of the piano, the case and the ball boards and things.
Yeah, this is actually an important thing to know. My father only recommended lemon oil, real lemon oil, to polish a piano. Yeah.
Wow.
But this is clearly made for pianos, because Dad would go to people's houses and there'd be all this smudgy crap and stuff all over the piano. He didn't like to do it, and he'd charge him for it if he did. But he'd say, don't use furniture polish on your piano. He said it's an entirely different surface and all that kind of thing. And it won't leave a clear reflection on the finish. My digital piano over there is a high gloss finish. They have what's more like kind of a black matte finish. Yeah. Steinway's especially famous for that. Yeah. Most of the newer pianos, especially ones from Asia, they have a high gloss on them, so they're quite reflective. Man, if you put furniture polish on that, you're gonna play hell getting it off. Probably the only way you can get it off is to lemon polish the whole thing.
Wow.
to get it to come out to remove, because it has so much crap in it. And Dad always just said, well, plus the lemon oil is really good for the wood.
Oh,
If you have an older piano, how old you got an older Canary?
we've got an older Canary.
The better thing for it, and it makes it beautiful because the wood sucks in that olive oil or the lemon oil. And sometimes you do it if you haven't done it for a long time. You get those 50, 60, 70-year-old pianos, and you can see that they're kind of spackly looking on the surface, and that they're just dry. It's dry skin, like on us. We got to hydrate. Piano needs to hydrate, and really takes on a whole new nice look. Plus, the lemon oil will take the dirt out at the same time, especially if you haven't done it for a while.
Yeah.
The first application, your rags will be really dirty because the lemon oil gets in there, and it's like when they show that like Clearasil stuff for teenagers.
Yeah.
It goes into the pore and lifts the junk out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the lemon oil does to start with. And then after you get it all kind of cleaned up, you put another layer on, let it soak in. Probably give it at least a week before you do it again. But you can basically tell, once you kind of get used to it, when she would like a new polish, which isn't very often. But when you're first doing it, to really try to get her nice again, you just have to see that when you go to put it on, put a little bit of oil on the piano and rub it in even with your finger into the wood. If it absorbs, she needs it, she wants it. If it kind of beats up a little bit, it means that her pores are still a bit full. They don't need it yet. But this is actually made by Janssen, which makes me think it's probably a good thing to use, because obviously you use it.
Yep.
So it keeps your piano looking pretty.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't say what the ingredients are. It's not lemon oil. But obviously it works, so that's nice. But I would suggest, before you use something like that, because that's like putting lipstick on your lips.
Yeah.
Putting lemon oil on your lips is like putting lip balm. Make sure your skin's healed and all that kind of stuff, so it's nice. Then you provide a nice smooth surface, fresh surface, to put the polish on, which will make it really stand out. Now look at that. Let's think of lemon oil is like the lip balm, and this is like lipstick.
Okay, cool. I take it everywhere I go. I mean, you never know when you're going to be playing on something that needs this. Okay, so if the playing stinks, at least the piano will look good, right? So.
Well, I just did a plug for this guy. Right? Show him this part. See if we can get it.
Show the what?
And for Jason, I don't know.
This thing, yeah.
I did a plug for this guy. Show him this part of the film.
Yeah.
And tell him, see, I'm your spokesman. You want to hire me?
Oh.
There you go.
There you go.
Do your Vanna thing.
Yeah. Well, anyways, can we show it?
Yeah, I was also going to remind you.
Yeah.
You put out an invitation to people before.
Oh, yeah.
About the 5 or 6 people we're going to invite. The performers, wasn't it? Anybody.
Oh, you mean the party thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think we should do that in this show. We don't have to do it now.
No? Okay.
I think we can do the show and tell. That's a fun thing to start
well,
with.
Well, you want me to give them a reminder of the assignment, or what?
You could.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it. Okay, so a while back, as a reminder,
I thought that
we did set.
I thought about this one.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Anyways, a while back I set out. I gave you guys an assignment, all you viewers out there,
which you wouldn't have received yet. Well, now, actually, I think it is up.
It's up there.
It's up there because we've got 6 shows up there now.
Yeah. So, anyways, if you were to throw a party, name 10 composers you would like to invite and why.
Oh, that's that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that one. 10.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you get through that, I did send out another one where when you name 5 musicians. I said 5 musicians, not just composers, but any musicians. Name 5 musicians you would like to meet when you get to heaven.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that was the.
I have to wait till then?
No, you don't have
I
to
thought I
wait
was
till
going to
then.
invite him, you know, from some time
Well, I'm just saying.
back here to my house.
Well, I told you, I got.
Well, this is
I
kind of
got
heaven for me here. So
I came up with the idea because of a movie I saw, you know, at the store. You know, I'm still looking at movies, you know, and so there was a movie that said was entitled "People You Want to Meet When You Get to Heaven."
oh,
Okay, and so which you know sparked an idea.
I see.
Name 5 musicians you would like to meet when you get to heaven.
I see.
So, anyways, there was a third assignment.
What was that one?
Okay, listen to the intro. Okay, listen.
Oh,
to
yeah.
I sort of arranged the intro, and see how sharp your ear is and how well you really know the music. Name the different musical ideas I have in there, and if you want, you can name the composer. But there are themes and ideas in there that I actually just borrowed left and right, and everything in that video is borrowed from something. Everything, okay. None of it is any of my original idea. My only original idea was just putting it all together and making it sound like, you know, a thriller, cop, paranormal type show. Okay, so
We are the Kojaks of piano scene investigations.
oh yeah,
Remember Kojak?
Kojak. I do remember Kojak. I was thinking that.
No, not Kojak. Kolchak.
Oh, Kolchak.
Night Stalker.
Night Stalker. I remember.
Yeah.
What was his name? Gavin?
Yeah, Gavin.
Robert Gavin?
No,
No.
but Gavin's right.
Yeah.
But Gavin Kolchak. That was his name, Kolchak.
Yeah, I know it was Kolchak, but I was trying to remember the name of the actor because he played the father.
The actor's the same guy. Yeah. No, what was his name? What was the name of the actor in the Christmas Story?
Yeah, the one that played the father.
You can answer the forum on Facebook, or by the time I edit this, I'll find it and put it up.
So,
But no, I like that kind of. I love Night Stalker.
oh, it was a
It used to scare
wonderful-
the beepers out of me when I was a kid.
You remember Night Gallery?
Yeah, oh, Night Gallery.
Night Gallery. They told us not to watch that alone at night,
God,
and I
so
did.
nice
That was a mistake. That was a mistake.
And even some of the old Twilight Zone,
Oh yeah.
some freaky
Oh yeah.
stuff. Oh, and even better, Outer Limits.
Oh, I forgot.
Remember
I'm
Outer
not sure
Limits?
that one. Was
We
good,
are
too.
control of your TV for the next hour.
Yeah.
Vertical.
And it was all the same writer too. Rod Serling.
That was Twilight Zone.
That was Twilight Zone. I thought he did it all.
Did he do Outer Limits?
I thought he did it all.
Oh, I don't think he did Outer Limits. But
It seemed like it.
anyway, I kind of like the idea of us being the stalkers, you know, and not in any sick, twisted way.
Yeah, I mean,
But because he was a good guy, investigating, going out and finding the monsters
Yeah.
amongst us. You know?
so we will have some assignments coming up soon.
Yeah, we're going to get really close. After I've got 0006 up, let's leave 7 and 8. This will be 9. So once I get these 3 shows up, we'll actually be caught up contemporaneously with the present calendar and our shows.
Yeah.
And then I thought after that, if I can just then maintain it once a week, which is not too bad, that'd be fine. And then our forums on Facebook and stuff would be quite contemporaneous with the show that we upload and stuff. We can kind of stay tuned with it. We got 2 more followers.
We do.
Yeah, I don't know who they are.
Okay. Cool.
And you know that our first episode has had 154 visits so far.
154
How many
visits.
times did you watch it?
Holy moly! I haven't seen that. Really?
Yeah, 154. I don't know if they watched it all the way through, but I don't know if it says that or not. But yeah, 154 for the first show, and then even I was surprised when I put up 0005, which was yesterday or something.
Yeah.
It's already been watched 4 times.
Oh. Well, were there any comments in the first one?
No comments
No
yet.
comments.
No.
Okay.
Well, actually, there are comments on a couple of the early ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, but I was thinking.
So far, we've only got positive thumbs up,
Oh, thank
which is
goodness.
nice. Which means they're probably all our friends.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
Once we go public, buddy, we're going to have to get ready for some thumbs down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Don't take it personal.
I've had to put up with rejections of my whole life.
Oh.
Crap. But I guess it's nothing new. So.
Uh-oh.
Anyways, all right.
Another pornographic film?
No, it's not. Yeah, listen to you. Okay, this is a movie that you keep referencing
Oh,
to
this
every
is the
once in a
Jane
while.
Seymour?
No, this is not the Jane Seymour. We did that one already.
Okay.
But this is, you keep bringing this up. It's Panos
Oh.
Sasatska. Some of you may or may not have seen this. And the younger pianists may not know this movie. It's Shirley MacLaine,
Oh,
and she plays a Russian piano teacher.
an old Russian piano teacher in London. It's a very, very hackneyed, old school story.
She's very eccentric.
The old teacher
Yeah.
and the young artist comes to her, and
Yeah.
she teaches him not only about playing the piano and great technique, but about life and tea and all kinds of
culture,
stuff and all that kind of thing.
proper and social graces and things like that. But anyways, you get to hear him play. Let's see, Scriabin's Etude, D sharp minor.
Yes,
There's also Traumerang in there.
and he competes with Schumann, right?
No, he doesn't compete at all.
No, he plays the Schumann concerto.
He plays the Schumann concerto, but
Oh, he doesn't get to
he
compete.
doesn't have to
He plays
compete.
with the orchestra.
Yeah, he just gets discovered by some dude,
Yeah.
that heard him play. He says, "I liked your playing."
Yeah.
He says, "Come with me." He says, "I will make you rich and famous."
Well, what happens ultimately, the sadness of the story. It's not given away. It's a good story. Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah.
And she, completely inhabits her character, so it's
Oh yeah,
pretty
she's
good.
Oh yeah, she's very.
But, he eventually comes into the modern world and moves on with a more famous, younger, bigger teacher.
Oh yeah,
Leaves her behind.
yeah, and it befuddles me, because I was watching the end credits to this movie to find out who the pianists were.
But isn't that young guy actually playing? Isn't it?
It's not him playing.
He does not?
He does not play
Well,
a
then he
single
does some
note.
damn impressive acting of it.
Yeah,
Because
he
we
does.
talked about shows that never made it up, but we talked one time about realistic pianist
Oh
portrayals.
yeah,
And usually
It's not very good.
very bad.
yeah. I mean,
But
so
I thought this kid was actually playing in that.
no,
film.
he's not playing it. He's definitely not
He
playing.
knows something.
He knows something about playing, but it's not him.
Wow, so
It's definitely not him. Well, let me pull out my cheat card.
Uh-oh.
It's somebody we may or may not know.
Oh.
Okay? All right. There is a scene in there where they play the Schubert's Fantasy for two pianists, four hands.
That minor. Yeah.
That scene was performed by Yanti Solomon, Y-O-N as in Nancy, T-Y Solomon. I don't know whether he was primo or secondo. And Tessa Uys, U-Y-S, is her last name. Her first name is Tessa.
Yeah.
So, Yanti Solomon and Tessa Uys. I've never heard of them either, but that's who plays the fantasy for four hands. Anyways, the other pianist, let's see, is Dieter Goldman. Never heard of him either? Okay, he usually records on really low budget generic CDs. I've seen his name a few times.
Oh.
He has a list CD out on what is it, Infinity label, on the Infinity label. I think I might even have it. And I'm not sure of the list. This last pianist, but it might be Yano Yando.
Oh, yeah.
It may or may not be him, okay, but supposedly he might be the one playing the Schumann concerto at the end.
Yeah, he was Hungarian or Czech?
No, he was Hungarian. You're right.
He was Hungarian.
Hungarian.
And there's a lot of Middle European recordings with him featured in the 60s and 70s especially.
Yeah.
And I think Yano.
Yano.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's a very prolific study of a pianist. I mean, he's done like all of the Haydn sonatas. He's done a really big chunk of Liszt.
This is, of course, fabulously trained musicians
Yeah.
in Central Europe. And I mean, the Czechs and the Hungarians were for a long time locked up on the other side.
Yeah.
And we didn't, I mean, we only knew something about the very best Soviet artists, almost all of whom were Russians during that time. But it was interesting that, especially since the fall of the wall in the early 90s, that a lot of movies that are still using large orchestras instead of computers and digital things to make the music or whatever for the show.
The orchestra was the London Symphony.
Yeah. London Symphony actually used to do a lot of recording for TV and movies. We tended to use, actually, Hollywood used to go and do the orchestral recordings in Europe in decades past because it was cheaper than the American orchestras. And then, everything in England's become so expensive and they're having terrible budget problems nationally. That they've actually, in the last 20 plus years, are going to the Czechs a lot.
Wow.
Apparently the orchestra, the Czech Philharmonic or whatever it is, something like that. I do have some recordings with some really good players. And they're going into some places like that and doing the recordings with the musicians there in Central Europe because it's cheaper. And they play really, really well.
Oh, by the way, there is a cameo appearance from a very famous pianist in this movie. The famous Irish pianist, Barry Douglas. Barry Douglas. He doesn't do any acting.
He won was it Tchaikovsky? Or
he won the Tchaikovsky.
Yeah,
he was a silver medalist at the Van Cliburn.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does make an appearance.
He's still playing, I understand.
Oh yeah, he's still.
I think I saw him written up in the BBC magazine. I don't think he's making many appearances over here, but he seems to have continued a career in Europe doing stuff. He's probably a teacher somewhere as well.
Yeah.
But he was a good pianist.
Oh yeah, he's a fine pianist.
He was I didn't think his playing was rare or unique in like a really special way.
Yeah.
But he really just totally captured that. He's a handsome, tall guy, and he played the piano like you'd expect a concert pianist to be able to play. I mean, kind of like, well, just a very fine, satisfying, impressive, really could play the stuff all the way through. But I just found that his interpretation stuff, as I heard, was, well, it's good. That's the Rachmaninoff second, or that's the Tchaikovsky, or whatever. But nothing to write home about. Interpretively, I'd say. Yeah. But he just did a good job. I mean, whatever. I remember Norman Palu, who was the first violinist for the Parodi Quartet for, I think, close to 30 years. Before that, he'd been part of another quartet in Oklahoma. But he got called up to Wisconsin to play for the Parodi there. And he was on my master's committee, and we played together sometimes after that. He was a wonderful man. He told me something after my master's recital. As it turns out, I listened to the recording of it about a year and a half afterwards because I had a frightful moment where I had a couple little, like somehow the memory wasn't there and I panicked. And all I can say as a performing artist, in the moment, it seems like it goes on forever. When I finally could bring myself to listen to the recording afterwards, a year and a half before I could listen to it, they're blips. Like, like a little squeaker fart or something. Just like a little thing here or there, It was really a pretty impressive performance that I did. I include the Schumann Fantasy. Yeah. So it was a big deal. And 109. But at the time, I was so panicked. And Norman came down after the concert. He said, great. My teacher, Howard, was a little disappointed. I mean, he still, I think he gave me an A- or something, though. But he could tell that I wasn't quite
Comfortable.
firing all 12 cylinders, you know. But it was a learning experience, absolutely. But Norman taught me something I'll never forget. He, the Priority Quartet was originally Belgian, had started up in the very early 20th century, and had played all around Europe. There's a famous recording of the Trout Quintet with Arthur Schnabel.
Ooh, gosh.
Quartet playing with him, not the bass is extra, but the other guys playing with him are from the Priority Quartet. They were really very popular. They happened to be in the United States at the time that Hitler did the Blitzkrieg on Belgium and then on France.
Mm.
They couldn't go back. There was no back to go to.
Yeah.
And they were stuck there. And so what was really cool, there was a very wealthy woman named Elizabeth Sprague Coolidge who gave a whole bunch of money back at that time in the 30s. They called it the Elizabeth Sprague Coolidge Foundation or Fellowships or something like that. And the University of Wisconsin, interestingly, was the very first place in the entire United States to take advantage of this new money that was available in connection with the new influx of artists, scholars, doctors, all kinds of great intelligentsia people who managed to get the hell out of Europe before the Nazis went haywire. And in 1938, they hired a painter. I can't remember his name. It was Jack something. Who was a very famous painter, and he was the very first artist in residence in the United States, that Wisconsin. That was 1938. In 1939, they hired the pianist from California. He came by way of California, but he's originally Danish, Gunnar Johansson, who had been a student of Egon Petri, and even he'd even met Busoni and stuff.
Yeah.
But he definitely played for Petri, and was also a young good friend of Ignaz Friedman, who had a summer cottage up on the coast in Denmark, and Gunnar said he used to go and stand outside and listen to him practice.
Oh, wow.
At his house. But Gunnar was there in 1939, and he did amazing things. He recorded Liszt's music, Bach's music, all the Beethoven, all the Mozart. Prolific pianist, and had his own recording studio set up at home. And then in 1940, the Priority Quartet, which is at the time of the Blitzkrieg, found themselves stuck in the United States and nowhere to go as they were doing their concerts. And Wisconsin reached out and said, "Why don't you come be here?" And they made the Priority Quartet of Belgium the resident string quartet at the university in Madison. And they're still there. They've been there now for, 82 years or something like that. Well, Norman came in, one of the early first violinists was Rudolf Kolisch, who famously played the wrong side. Is a very good friend of Arnold Schoenberg. And then I think in the 60s, early 60s, something like that, Norman came to them from Oklahoma, where he'd been before, with another quartet and became their first violinist.
Wow.
They were once, or more than once, I don't know they ever won it, but they were nominated for the Toscanini Prize. Up there with the big guys like the Guarneri Quartet and various people like that. They were that good. They tended to focus, when I was there, they played all of the music of Beethoven. They did the quartets and quintets of Mozart at some time. And they were doing, near the latter part of Norman's career, all the quartets of Shostakovich. They did all the Brahms chamber music with Howard and various people in that family. And the other thing they really kind of specialized in a little bit was, I wouldn't say not Kronos quartet, contemporary avant-garde music, but really meat and potatoes 20th century compositions. Ernst Bloch, for example, they did a whole bunch of his stuff.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
And they had a big meaty sound. The cellist, Pericart's a big bear of a guy. He was, I don't know, he was a prize winner, but he competed in the Tchaikovsky competition and did well. He had a big sound. And I think that they were kind of attracted to that. It was a very big, powerful, muscular sound. Not aggressive or ugly, but just really full presence. Anyway, that's a little bit of history about it. But Norman said, well, why don't tomorrow, the next couple of days, you come on up and we'll go out for ice cream.
Wow.
And Madison had a herd of cows because it had originally been a land grant place. And they had always kept cows, and they had agricultural medicine and farming science and all that there. So they had to milk those suckers all the time.
Yeah.
And the Wisconsin Union was famous for their ice cream. Oh my God, it was fat, rich, wonderful milk. And the really cool thing is you go there and you get a double meat, you got 3 scoops.
Yeah.
You get a triple, you get 4 scoops. They always give you 1 free.
Oh, geez.
Because they were trying to get rid of this stuff, all this
Wow.
delicious ice cream. Really good ice cream, if you're ever there. So it was a pretty day in May. Linden trees were blooming and stuff. And Norman and I walked across the square and over to the Union, got some ice cream. He said, look, you're one of the best pianists I've heard coming out of Howard's studio. And he said, I think, you're going to have a career. It says, God only knows what kind and where it'll go and how it'll be. Because he said, there's so many unknowns as to what brings somebody to the top or not so much to the top. But he said, you're going to be, if you want to, you can have a career, you can do stuff. But he said, there's something you better learn. He said, I know that you weren't really completely happy with your recital. He said, I thought it was fine. I know that it wasn't the best play that you could do because I really heard you, really tear the shit out of the stage, really great. And he said, I know that wasn't there for you, but he said, it was a lot of pressure and tough pieces and stuff, but you did very well. But he said, look, he says, all these years that I've been playing, he said, now it's been something like 45 years as professional quartet violinist. And we played all over the world, all the way south as far as Chile, up in Sweden. I don't know if they played the Soviet Union, but, around. They were even in China and all of Japan, everywhere. South Africa. He said, look, this has been my experience. He said, let's say 60% of the time, it's a job.
Of course.
This is why I'm saying this, because what Barry Douglas kind of, you played good, did a great performance, you get your paycheck, he's happy, everybody else is happy. So he said 60% of the time, he says it's a job. And he said, of course, it's better than some other jobs, but it's a job. You practice, you worked hard, you go out and you play with your colleagues, and you do a very fine, presentation of the repertoire and everything. And, you feel good. This is certainly better than other jobs you could have.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I'd say it's possible it could be even 30% of the time. It's not clicking. And the ensemble's not working. He said, part of it, it's chamber music, so you all got to be in the same place at the same time. He said, that doesn't always happen. Somebody's sick, somebody's not feeling well, somebody's kid's got problems, And he said, there are some times that he said, and I could say like 60% of the time, it's a really good job, just love doing this. About half that same amount of time, you're just playing there and you work so hard and everything, and it's just not rolling. It's not clicking. Not at the level they were used to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking, Toscanini Prize level.
Yeah.
And he said, you think, why did I ever do this? This is the worst job. If I could afford to give this up, I would walk out tomorrow, And he said, but then he said, and he said, maybe, he said, probably not all of 10%, but let's say, he said 8 to 10% of the time, you're playing and you actually lift up out of your body and you see and hear the music in the space from the point of view of God. He said, because you become yourself transfigured by the performance and the music. And it just takes you out of yourself. You're not even consciously moving and playing yourself. It's just doing it. And your spirit lifts out and looks down on you and your colleagues. And he said, and then you think, for that 8 to 10% of all the concerts you'll ever give in your life, this is the best thing I could ever be doing with my life. Thank you, God, for this opportunity. And he said, Mark, it's for that 8 to 10%. That's why we do what we do. And that's why you will do what you will do. For that 8 to 10%. He said the other 90%, God knows what combination it's going to be. But he said there will be those moments where you realize this was it. This had to be it. There's nothing better that you would choose to do. And over these decades, I mean, that was at least a quarter of a century or more ago, I think he was right. I've had some really remarkable moments. I mean, for various reasons. I mean, we all know, and if you guys out there, you're performers as well. Gee, man, I mean, the piano, the audience, the hall, the weather.
Yeah.
It all plays a role in the performance. I mean, there are some machines that can go out there and just turn it on and do it. And, you know, good for them, good for you, if that's what you're satisfied with. But when it comes to a really special, artistic and emotionally and intellectually gratifying experience, that takes a lot of admixture of various things going on. And I used to encourage my students as they were getting ready to do performances, especially in Cyprus, because it comes with big families, and Friday nights were huge. They all, everybody be there. I said, no, it's not bothering anybody. They got the television on, somebody's watching TV, somebody else is listening to sports, you know, and the men are sitting outside talking and laughing really loud, smoking the cigarettes and having their beer, you know, whatever. Go in there and practice piano. And even if it's not like that, when you're by yourself at home, turn on the radio loud enough that you can hear everything and play some other kind of music. Practice. You know, focus, especially when you're in the memorization and the performance part of it. So that you can learn to hold a focus with distractions. Because the thing that happens when young and inexperienced people go out on stage, it's just, I don't know how to explain how it works, but you suddenly become, you know, like when you're practicing in your room or this or that, maybe even you can get to the point where you feel comfortable playing for your teacher. You're like a horse with blinders on. You know why they put the blinders on the horse? It's to keep him focused on the path in front of him. And he can't, actually, they're very freaky kind of animals. Very sensitive, hypersensitive. And if they see, and they have their eyes on the sides of their heads almost like fish, so they can see really well. They get distracted or frightened and all kinds of things like that. That's why I put those things, well, nobody knows that now, but in the old horse and buggy days. When we're often like that a lot, when we're practicing, when we're focused on our little inner world of piano and doing all that. And then we go out on the stage and all of a sudden, the blinders fly away and just suddenly, like, you know, all the bright lights and all this stuff and
all the eyes,
all those eyes out there and those people, and you're way higher than you've ever been before if it's a raised stage, and they're all down there.
They're all going things.
And then, I don't have anything to rustle right now, but, you know, there's the cough drop rapper people. The ones that are trying not to be heard, but it just crinkle, 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 crinkle. Crinkle, crinkle. Somebody goes, just open the damn thing! All these kinds of things that go on. It's extraordinary how all of that stuff can build up and just destroy an inexperienced performer because they're not used to that. And so I used to often, in the evening, my earlier evening practice in the doctor, for example, I would listen with one ear to the McNeil-Lehrer News Hour at 6 o'clock, and I'd be practicing. And I used to sometimes do that at home. Used to drive Robin crazy, where I would leave the radio on, playing other music and stuff like that in practice. to just be focused on that. And she couldn't deal with it.
Huh.
But I really felt that it helped a lot because it's just weird. I mean, all the time. I mean, the truth is that you're in there. I mean, one time when I won the concerto competition, there was close to 2,000 people, or 1,500 people out there. When I played live on Wisconsin Public Radio,
yeah,
the estimated listening audience was between 50 and 100,000 people listening live to that performance. When your mind, if you let yourself go to that and just think all these people are there listening to you, and then unfortunately we get in our minds, they're criticizing us or they want to find fault or something like that. And see, another thing that I always try to pass on to my students, this is one performance, one time. It's not a recording session. It's live art happening. It's like you're painting the picture in front of people. It's like Norman said, 60 to 65% of the time, it'll probably be pretty successful. 5% of the time, it might be illuminating. 30 to 35% of the time,
man.
and just so long as and most of the people, even with the like you as a musician might realize this is toilet paper. But so long as the audience doesn't and the management doesn't, they still pay you, you get your money and everything, and invite you back. He was talking more about your own sense of self-satisfaction with your art and what you're doing and what it would be like. And I thought it was an excellent formula. He talked about his own teacher. I'll shout it back to this, but he said it was Joseph Szigeti, one of the great violinists, and famous for playing a lot of 20th century difficult repertoire, where at the time wasn't always so common. I mean, Yehudi Menuhin played some new things sometimes, but Szigeti was known for playing Bartók and 20th century compositions, And he said he was a fright. He said when he was young and studying with Szigeti, he would be there in the green room with him, and he said he was just nuts. He just frenetically crazy and real nervous and all sweaty and everything. And he'd have to be pushed out of the green room.
This is Szigeti?
Story of go on stage. That's what Norman said.
Wow.
But then he said, then he just played like Szigeti. And it was all there, but he said. And I remember a picture that I used to have in a scrapbook I made. Arthur Rubinstein, this whole outfit on, backstage at Carnegie Hall, and somebody took a picture of him warming his hands up over the radiator backstage. And there's a caption underneath the picture. It said, "My nerves is the price I paid for my career success."
Oh.
It is perennially there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was nervous in a kind of way, but the more you do it, I suppose it's like a field battle soldier.
Yeah.
Maybe the first few times.
Or human sacrifice.
You go at it. But I wouldn't say that anytime anybody's shooting at you.
Yeah.
I used to watch combat on TV.
Oh, I remember that show.
Take out a guy every show or so. But some of those guys, they were war-hardened combatants, and wasn't that they're not afraid. I remember even talking about that. There was a new guy that's coming in. There's a particular episode. He was just almost scared shitless to do it. The other guy said, "We're all scared shitless." He said, "But when it comes down to it, you shoot the guy that's shooting at you, or he's going to shoot you."
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's like, I remember what Ellsworth's advice was when I played the live concert at the Elvium in Madison. Started with the A-flat impromptu of Schubert, then the Concerto Number 12 Mozart Concerto with the strings, so it was quartet, three quartet. And then I played the Liszt Ballad, B minor, and Funeral. That was the program.
Wow.
He gave me a little good luck charm, which I put in my jacket pocket. And then he said this to me before, but he just said, it says, "Just remember, dear one, when you're out there in the water, if the wave hits or something happens and you're floundering about a little bit, swim to shore. Swim to shore. It just basically means find your way back and just keep going, keep swimming. Don't flounder out there and drown in the water. And in fact, I did a really good job. It was fortunately really good. Even when I came home, he was still alive. He'd been mostly retired, but still sometimes performing. I had a little digital voicemail thing, and there was no way to save anything on it because it wasn't like a little tape.
Yeah.
I came home and the light was flashing on the phone, and it was a voicemail from Gunnar Johansson.
Yeah.
Congratulating me, especially on the list. He said it was a magnificent list, really wonderful. But the machine was automatically and I kept it there until it fills up, and then it would zero everything out itself. So eventually it erased his message. But I thought, wow, Gunnar Johansson called me. He looked me up. He wouldn't have had my phone number. He looked at my phone number and made the effort to call me and congratulate me on my list playing because he'd done it all, everything.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm sorry, that set me off.
That's
Was
okay.
it about because of this stuff?
Could be. I mean,
we don't even remember why I got. See, sometimes I take my machete and go slashing off into the rainforest.
Yeah.
Elmer's sweet enough to watch me go. Sometimes he follows.
Yeah.
And then we don't know where the hell we are. How
when we first met, I thought we were going to have this Harry Potter Dumbledore type relationship, but we've gone through phases. Now I feel like Peabody and Sherman, Mr. Peabody and Sherman. We've gone through this different phases. Sometimes I feel like he's Skipper and I'm Gilligan. Or
I'd rather be the professor.
You'd rather be the professor? Yeah, you would. But anyways, yeah, it's been quite a journey. So, do you want to go with scores, or do you want to see what I got as far as CDs?
Just like the CDs.
You want to see the CDs? Okay. You want to start with old or young?
Old.
Old. Okay.
The old guy.
All right. This is Nikita Mogulof.
Oh, yeah.
Nikita Mogulof.
I hadn't heard that name for a long time.
I know, either have I.
Ooh, it's a heavy one, too.
Yeah. I had a tough time trying to put that CD in my player.
Wow, this is totally French made, and the case and the CD and everything. I don't know if you guys know this, but back in the day when Philips first started making these things, these boogers were heavy.
Yeah,
this is heavy.
Oh yeah,
it's the F major sonata of Haydn.
Yep.
B flat major of Mozart.
Yep.
281, the early one.
Yeah.
And the big A major, one of the last Schubert sonatas. I played that one.
Cool.
And the case is made really well. Not that cheap kind of plastic shit that
falls apart.
Breaks if you look at it wrong.
Yeah. But
I heard his name for ages.
Oh yeah. I heard this guy, my first introduction to Nikita Mogulof was on the radio.
Uh-huh.
And it was from that Paul Humes program I told you about a while back. Paul Humes' Piano World. It was on Sundays.
Here in Columbus.
Well, I used to listen to it in Finley and Delaware.
But do you know where it came from?
I had absolutely no idea. But he was on every Sunday afternoon. It was Paul Humes. And I tried to look up the program online. You can't find it.
Well,
you can't find it. It was Paul Humes' Piano.
No even a historical mention of it or anything?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I tried to Google it to see if we could find it. It's just disappeared off the world, off the earth completely. And I'm sad.
Anybody know about that in northern or central Ohio or maybe southern?
It's Paul Humes' Piano World. Humes. H-U-M as in Mary, E-S.
Apostrophe S or was Humes?
Well, that's what he said. Paul Humes' Piano World.
Oh, so it's his name's Humes. Okay.
So, but anyways, he had everything. I mean, that was when I first heard Shura Tchaikovsky on there. Shura Tchaikovsky, Earl Wild. They even had there was an Alfred Brendel program on there. There was also, let's see, I remember listening to George Bollett. There was Philip Antremont. There was also Augustine Anibas. There was also, I mean, they just had a variety of pianists.
I loved when I was married before in the past to Robin, and her family at the time, her dad was a minister, was based in Kearney, New Jersey, basically just across the marshlands from southern Manhattan. And what I used to love when we'd go to stay there, usually for a couple of weeks or so, is during Christmas break from college and things like that. So we could go at least for a couple of weeks. Used to love to listen to WQXR, was it? No. I'm sorry, I don't remember the call letters, but obviously really famous ones from New York City. And, I mean, we worked in the backwoods out here. There's some really great musicians and wonderful training. A lot of Germans moved here. Took music making and training very seriously. But in terms of the technological, being able to get to things, I didn't mention any of these shows, but at one earlier show, at one point, I talked about the first time I went to Tower Records in New York City. It was the one down in the southern part of Manhattan.
Can I show a picture of him?
Yeah. But anyway, I used to love to listen to the radio shows coming out of New York City because they were so specialized, you know, in certain kinds of areas or repertoire or instrument or something like that. David Duvall had a show in New York, right?
Who was it?
David Duvall.
Yeah, David Duvall had
for
it.
example.
Yep, a radio.
But I don't remember the call letters for the two big stations, but I think there was one or two, there's three classical ones. Anyway, but nowadays we kind of take it for granted because of the internet. And you can listen to, like I often listen to KQED, from San Francisco, to get my news and various information, stuff like that, because it's a wonderful, wonderful station. And I listen to it via the internet. We've got good radio here. We got WSU. That's a good job. But, you know, in some places we did these wonderful, or people will do these, like when I used to drive around the country, going through part of Texas or Oklahoma or something, and they'd come on to a classical show. And it was very clearly a locally moderated one, you know, and stuff like that. And it was really cool because somebody with the passion, you know, managed somebody to give them the airtime, and they were doing a show. And, you know, those kinds of people often have, well, they're like us. They're kind of nuts for the repertoire and everything. And it was hard to get that kind of thing back when I think we were younger.
Oh yeah, it sure was.
Unless you were near a really big city, or for some reason your local station would have carried a show that they would have done. But nowadays, oh my God, we have access to.
I know, it was amazing.
So, did you show them Magaluf? Huh?
I did show them Nikita Magaluf.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, now for the young whippersnapper. This is on Stradivari Classics, not a very well-known CD label. And this is his debut recording of one Gara Landes. Gara Landes, that's him. And according to the booklet notes, he was a student and protege of the late Earl Wild.
Oh. Well, he plays that kind of repertoire.
Yeah, he does.
Petrarch Sonata, Mephisto Waltz, Shostakovich Prelude, and the Prokofiev Seventh Sonata.
Yeah.
Yowzer.
Here he is, Gara Landes. Now,
what happened to him?
Well, he's probably about our age at this point. I mean, this picture looks really old. But I have, strangely enough, as Mark may have told you, I like to go to thrift stores and book sales and things and try to
They all know
find stuff.
you.
Okay, so
You gotta bring in a hat sometime.
yeah.
Your Indiana Jones hat.
Oh yeah, maybe
It's
perhaps.
the Indiana Jones of music.
Absolutely.
Library cast-offs and thrift store finds.
Yeah,
And all.
and I've had to fight for some of this stuff. Believe it
And
or
his
not.
wife has this sixth sense
Oh
about
yeah, she's
finding.
yeah. It's something mystical that she has. You know, every once in a while when we're both at home, we're doing garden work or cleaning the house or doing laundry or whatever, she just says, "You want to go to the thrift store today?" And so when she says that, we should go.
Can you show him that Chopin plaque that you gave me?
Oh, that. Oh,
For
gosh.
example,
For example, yes, exactly.
Kathy found this apparently, and Elmer already owns one. But the amazing thing is, I'm assuming this came
From Warsaw.
from Warsaw,
Yeah.
or from, what was the town of Wojic, or
I don't know.
Zolozovich, or wherever he was born. But this is the rendering in metal of the famous statue of Chopin in Poland, which is, I think, outside his birthplace.
And he's holding on to a tree, I think.
No, it's a harp.
Harp?
It's a harp made from the tree, but he's like playing the. He's Chopin himself is turned into a muse.
Oh,
A
okay.
muse of music.
How can you tell that's a harp?
Because when you see the real thing, it's more clear. It's a tree that has been turned into a harp, and the strings. It's not just a harp. The idea is he's playing the strings of the cosmos. You know, making it very. It's a very spiritual work. But Kathy found this.
Yeah.
At,
My wife.
at the. Hold that. I haven't found the right place for it yet. It does look like he's holding on to a tree there, though.
Yeah. For me, I interpreted it
Actually,
as
this
the
looks
Chopin
like-
rubato.
This looks like
That's
it's
what I
a
thought.
tree and he's sitting on a rock.
Yeah.
This might be a. But this is not what the statue looks like that I've seen. That they
Okay.
created, because he's actually kind of strumming a harp, I thought.
Yeah.
But pretty cool. So it's from Warsaw.
Yeah.
And it's all in Warszawa. Pomnikerderjaka Chopina. I don't know what that other words mean, but something of Chopin in Warsaw. Polish is a bitch of a language. It's not simple. That's cool. Well, go ahead. What's your stuff?
Okay. Well, anyways, I found that. Back to Garlanda's. There used to be a store here in Columbus called Buybacks, and it was on the corner of 161 and Cleveland Avenue. It was a mega store, huge, and it would literally take you at least 4 or 5 hours to get through the whole CD collection.
Then wonderful.
And it was not organized in any manner or form at all. It would take you 3 or 4 hours to get through the CD collection,
Wow.
and you would find the classical CDs, but you'd have to look long and hard. And in the middle of the summer, when it's hot and that place would need air conditioning,
Wow.
you would sweat.
So, my impression is
So
he was very lucky that he found his wife, because I don't think you had a real active dating life, really. Because no, it's not because he's not attractive and all this stuff, but because he was always at the buyback place or garage sales and stuff
garage
like that. I
sales
mean,
or
this guy was doing the later 20th century archaeological musical digging that a lot of the rest of the people weren't willing to do. They were.
But believe it or not, this is not the only CD of Garlanda's I found over there. Surprise, surprise. But I had to look hard, long and hard. But he actually has an all Wagner CD as well.
Ooh.
It has his sonata and a few other,
Oh, original
Works.
compositions.
yeah, original.
But then you mean, but there were no like list renditions of things or something.
I don't remember, but there's like an album leaf work in there.
Yeah.
And some clever
Wagner's original stuff for piano.
Yeah, and there's even a piano sonata. So,
Yeah. He didn't write well for the piano.
But anyways,
Other people that took his music and
Yeah.
played it on the piano, that was a different story.
yeah, he recorded it. if I organize the library, the archives, I will definitely bring it over to show you. It's because it's interesting.
Oh.
All right, now we talked about this once a while back. These are arrangements done by Percy Grainger,
Oh.
and I guess it was, in style back then, and even before that, before Grainger. But these are arrangements, concert arrangements of movements from concertos.
Oh.
For instance, this one is Percy Grainger's personal arrangement of the first movement of Grieg's Piano Concerto.
Oh.
It's not the entire movement, from what I see.
Just theme stuff, right?
Just theme stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's got mostly the cadenza and the ending, coda. So here it is. That's what it looks like. We also have here Percy Grainger's own concert. It says here concert transcription of main themes and episodes from the third movement of Rachmaninoff's second concerto.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. Here we have the opening of the B-flat minor piano concerto concert transcription by Percy Grainger of the Tchaikovsky. Now here it actually says concert transcription of first movement of Schumann's piano concerto. Wow. It looks like it's the whole first movement. Have you ever looked at the score?
Of what?
Schumann's A minor?
Yeah.
Here, you tell me, is this the whole first movement?
Feels like it.
Yeah, it does feel like it. Since you're probably more familiar with the Schumann than I am. I don't know if it's the whole thing or not. Well, Doctor?
Yeah, I think this is the whole thing.
It's not the whole thing?
It is.
It is the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole first movement.
Yeah,
Well, you heard it.
Here's the slow B section. Wow. It's very interesting. Show them, for example, this page.
Oh, that
Show
one.
them that. That's from the Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
Looking at all these arrangements, these are not for the light-fingered amateur. Percy Grainger was an Australian pianist who quite an interesting personality. He, being an Australian, had this kind of Australianness about him. He was famous for what he was like on concert tours in parts of Europe, but especially in England. Rather than even take the train, he would hike if he had time from one place to the next and stay at inns and stuff like that and carry his music and stuff in his backpack.
Mm.
And he was a very lean, very fit guy. He became extremely famously close with Edvard Grieg.
Yeah.
There's a famous, I have it, you have it too.
Oh,
his
yeah.
version.
It's the only
It's
version.
these kind of like cartoon bubble comments, his way of editing and saying things and suggestions about the music. Is that this like in a cartoon where there's like the, the balloon that has the comments of the character? That's what his edition looks like.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he has other program notes on it as well. But the Greek concerto, by the way, on the bottom, is got some really tough stuff in it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that he probably wrote these or created them out of the concertizing that he would have done in some of the backward communities, or that's not the right way to put it, but the smaller towns or villages that he might have gone through. And here, let me play the first movement of the Greek concerto for you. And he play it really incredibly. And my guess is that's where these came from. These were not, to my mind, written for educational purpose.
Probably.
This takes the wherewithal of a hell of a pianist to be able to bring them off. And
I've only heard Martin Jones do these.
They're concert reductions. But I have some stuff, where they've taken, some famous moments or something, and they turn it into something that you consider advanced, for anything from advanced, intermediate to advanced. But this is professional.
Oh yeah.
This is tough stuff. It's impressive.
Yeah. Now,
I'll
this
put
is,
a picture of him and stuff up when I get the show.
he also plays. I'm not sure. I think he also played alto sax.
Percy Granger.
Percy Green, because I saw a picture of him.
Well, he wrote music for bands.
Yeah, I know, but there's a picture of him with with the strapped onto an alto sax. He's like holding it like this. It's a black and white photograph of it.
I read about him. He did quite well early on in his life.
Yeah.
Got married and so forth. But then I remember reading that the latter part of his life wasn't all so happy, and I don't remember what the reasons were. Maybe I'll look it up and we'll talk about the next show. Because there was some, both personal, I think, in the family, and then even, I don't know if he might have lost a certain amount of money in the stock market crash or something, but the latter part of his life kind of.
Yeah, they did make a movie about it.
Really?
They did make a movie about Percy Granger. I can't remember the title of the movie, but it was a strange movie.
Well, here's a strange guy.
His mother travels with him.
When you think about it, I mean, there have been here and there some, and I don't mean to put Australians up per se, but I mean, let's say a century ago, the ones making their way out and into the world and stuff.
Yeah.
Because Australia was not only like our great Western frontier kind of lifestyle, but they were also down in the Southern Pacific.
Yeah. Pretty
much as far as you could get from anywhere before plane travel became easy. But I mean, Kiri Takano was one of the great artists that came from there. And I met a number of really fine, wonderful people when I was at the World Piano Conference in Serbia. There was a good representation of some people from Australia.
That's right.
But, people went to Australia. Ignaz Friedman ended up immigrating and living out the rest of his life, 20 years, something in Australia. It was partially due to the Second World War. He was there or ended up there, and obviously as a Jew and Pole and all that stuff couldn't go back to Europe. And I think he just probably was taken in by this stuff. Because there's some very interesting recordings and radio broadcasts and things that you can get to hear Friedman in the latter part of his life. But Percy Granger was rather unique because he came from way down there. He could really play. He was a really fine pianist. And did his whole character that was so unusual. I mean, De Pachman had his milking the cows thing. Yeah. But Percy Granger was mostly because there's photographs of him. He was tall, had this shock of hair. Yeah. I don't know if it was blondish red or what, but he's a very handsome man, really. Good shape.
Rugged.
Yeah, and he's got kind of the British outdoor jacket on and knee socks with half trousers and the walking shoes and all that, and he's holding a decent pack on his back, and that's where I said he was given to, especially in England, because that's a thing anyway, but he would actually, if there was time, rather than take the train, or certainly not be driven, he'd walk. He walked across England. You can do that in Norway, too. Norway is an open land policy like that. Well, we've got a little bit of time. Do you want to do your...
Did you want to...
So we're not going to do our special thing today?
What show, so?
The people that we want to hear in heaven or something.
People want to hear...
The famous musicians that we want to hear in heaven. Remember the challenge you put out?
Oh, that. Okay.
We can do this, or we can save that for next time. Unless you want me to do that, or do you want to talk?
Let's do that, because I don't...
We're going to stick with the story.
Yeah.
Can you
want me to show it? Okay.
Yeah, so
whoa,
I have a membership with IMSLP, or the Bertucci Library, which we've mentioned before in shows. It's a wonderful online library, huge library, of so many composers, hundreds of thousands, probably thousands.
Thousands, probably will be.
And most of them you would have never heard of. But we're talking, secondary, tertiary, and lesser known people, but in their own time and stuff, enough so that they compose, they perform, they did different things. Yeah. It's a really wonderful place that if you happen to be a graduate student needing to do some research, well, it might be a place to look for music by people. As I said, I think it's in one of the shows that's up online.
Yeah.
During COVID, I just got interested in the top. I just was kind of noticing a lot of people wrote nocturnes. I was interested in the history of the nocturnes, so I looked it up. There were over 600 individual nocturnes listed on IMSLP.
I remember that.
And, you know, we had a lot of time to ourselves during the COVID time. So I actually, down in the basement at the old house where I used to live, I looked at every single one of those things. And I ended up I loaded probably more than 150 of them as PDF files into my computer, hard drive. And then I started to print some out. And I ended up doing a show through the concerts at the Minor Corps, where it's a concert, of just nocturnes by various people, a whole bunch of things like that. But my God, the stuff that you can find is amazing. Yeah. Well, I don't remember how I came into this.
Did it just pop up?
It didn't pop up, but I think it might have been in an article I was reading or something. But there is a service available called PianoRareScores.com. It's similar to the IMSLP in a way. However, I looked things up. For example, here is one of Liszt's last students. This is Frederick Lamond, who was Claudio Arrau's teacher. Wow. These are 8. Did you just show them the first page? These are 8 piano pieces. And they're really quite interesting, pieces. I wouldn't say, they're not first tier maybe, but
it's Frederick Lamond.
Frederick Lamond.
Frederick Lamond. Where are you going to find Frederick?
Scottish guy. So I did look him up on IMSLP, and they had maybe 3 of these uploaded.
Yeah. This one's got all 8.
Well, the interesting thing is, one of the things I did buy, because I love this composer from Barcelona, the Catalan composer Federico Montpou. I really love Montpou. I also recorded some of his stuff on one of those shows from the Minor Corps. I think I paid $12 or $15, and I got a big hunk of his music. A lot of stuff, which, as I've seen, is still in print by like French publishers. And it's not that they have sole rights to it, but their versions of it can cost you $20 to $40 for a book.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I got a huge amount of repertoire of Montpou's. It certainly wasn't more than $50. And what they do is, check off what you want. There's even a few free things that they were giving away. There's a Soviet piece here that I bought. And I got even some music of Van Cliburn.
You got music of who?
Van Cliburn. For $2.
Van Cliburn.
Van Cliburn. And the one is a piece that he actually wrote. You show him that one. And then this one is the Moscow Nights transcription that he played in the famous video concert that's on YouTube. You can see him playing as an encore in front of the orchestra. But show
really
that. Wow. This is an actual piece of his. I haven't played through it yet, but I've read through it with my eyes.
Nostalgia by Van Cliburn. Look at it.
So PianoRareScores.com is interesting.
Transcription.
Moscow Nights.
Moscow Nights.
Moscow Nights. It's Russian. See, I think I saw him play this at the White House or on the YouTube or something.
So they have some interesting sections, and of course, what they're looking at is historical stuff. Because this stuff is all free of copyright, which is why they can do it. So what I did is I placed my order. It was about $26.
Wow.
And I received an email within a few hours that had unexpiring PDF files of the stuff that I'd ordered. So you have to print it out yourself, which is fine because that's what you do with IMSLP as well. But they have a selection called Soviet composers, and that goes into over 10 pages of people. They have French composers, which is quite a lot. They have Liszt pupils, and they have even Chopin pupils. And then there's various ones like that. Interestingly, Arcadi Velotos, there's a bunch. There's a collection of all these. Not all, but there's quite a few transcriptions of his that are available.
Wow.
Sometimes what you'll see is additions, like there's a famous pianist, and for example, there's a lot of Alfred Cortot in a collection, but none of that is original. It's all Cortot edited music of other composers. But in some cases, these are like maybe the Cortot is maybe $28, but you're talking about a buttload of Schumann's repertoire, Chopin's repertoire,
This repertoire. Yeah.
and it's all there if you want to, to look especially at Cortot's mind and fingerings and things, the way he would render that music. What I would advise you, though, is before you necessarily click and pay, if you have a membership with IMSLP, which I think right now is around $24 a year, you can copy stuff free off of IMSLP, but at some point they'll cut you off. They keep track of what you've been doing. If you pay for an annual membership, it's I think like $24 and it's unlimited. The only thing that you have to kind of obey or select now, I think, to obey is if it's not copyable because of copyright rules in your country, it'll say this is not available to US for copying, and that you acknowledge this. But what I've noticed in a lot of cases now, you can acknowledge it and still go and copy it, which means you're committing a federal offense. But sometimes when I look, the IMSLP, especially if you look up some of these old editions by masters like Cortot, or like the Friedheim edited Chopin etudes, those are available on IMSLP. You can get them that way too, because that stuff's way past copyright. Yeah. So people upload it. But I would say that there's a number of composers. I did look up a couple people. They were on IMSLP, but minimal uploads of things there. And these guys had just a list of stuff that was available. It reminds me, I also have some other things on my hard drives I purchased when I lived overseas. There was a guy in Italy who had a sizable library of old piano things, especially a ton of Godofsky. And I wrote it, and how we used to do it back then, this was a decade ago or so, so we were still in the DVD age. So rather than, having the space to be able to transfer a huge amount of PDF files through your email, for example, that was not so easy 10 years ago, because the accounts were very small. But I ordered from this Italian guy, I think it was 2 DVDs, not CD-ROMs, DVD-ROMs. There's a lot more storage space, but a ton of old composers, pianist composers. Yeah. Especially the buttload of Godofsky, because he wrote a lot. Yeah. From this guy in Italy who'd assembled all this stuff, and I paid him, it was $50 or something. But I have more music than you and I could ever begin to play. Oh, yeah, no kidding. And I've done that with some other things like that. But I would suggest just, that this is an option for, if you're interested in this, and as you know from both of us, and especially from me, I don't have to play all the famous repertoire and establish my career and everything. I'm an older guy now. I paid my dues, I paid my time, And I still like to play great works of great composers. But I also have realized over time that there's some great music. Oh, wonderful that music. Nobody knows about because it's just, it's like with the iceberg, they say that with the part that you see above the water is 1/3 to 1/4 of what's actually there. Most of the rest of it's underwater. Yeah. That's what destroyed the Titanic. Yeah. Not the stuff on the top that they kind of bumped against. Yeah. No, what ripped the hole open was the monster part of it underneath the water. Yeah. And isn't it wonderful? That's what the science of archaeology is all about. Going underwater or under the sands or under the earth. Or under the box. Or under the box to just dig down and find that stuff that, if it weren't for certain kinds of people, would be just utterly forgotten.
Yeah.
We've talked about that with the recordings too. That
Oh yeah.
Over the COVID period and stuff, I just suddenly thought, Harold Schoenberg talked about the French school of piano playing. Well, what the hell does that mean? And we've learned what that means.
Yeah.
It would have been, it seems like Frederick Kulak, who wanted to teach Chopin piano,
Yeah.
may have actually been
Kalkbrenner.
Yeah, not Kulak. Kalkbrenner
Yeah.
Friedrich Kalkbrenner would have had a formative influence on the development of what became the French school, which really had a certain kind of style and sound and purity about it through the First World War. So from the 1830s for about 70 to 80 years, because the Paris Conservatory only allowed French citizens to be students and teachers there. There was no external, no Poles, no Russians, no Germans. It was only because so many boys died in the First World War. First, there began to be more female piano students. And then they started to invite non-French people to join the faculty because they couldn't keep it up anymore. But when you hear something like Raoul Pugno, for example, or Camille Saint-Saëns, there's a certain gentlemanly finesse with the way it's like really the idea that you have to make it look and sound easy.
Exactly.
Just do it without necessarily the German intensity or the Russian hyper emotion, and all that. It's just this, just roll it off, Poulenc was interesting because his stuff. Even he writes in his music. There's even some places where none of this German hyper-effective. Well, he doesn't want his music played that way. It's just very straightforward. He even makes notes about that. And when you hear him play it himself, even the way he wrote, it has a kind of just. It's not slapdash, but it just goes forward and just does its thing. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
No rubato stuff, no crappy things. Don't get caught on this or anything. Just let it run.
I've heard his music described as a dry martini.
It's good. Dry martini.
It's dry martini.
Well, you're gonna have to go.
I gotta get going, folks. I'm sorry this was a little shorter, but maybe you were thankful it might be a little shorter today. I mean, it was. What did we do? About an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have
that
more
than that
for you
one of our
next time.
shortest ones.
Yeah, probably.
So, as I said, with this one, we've got 2 before this one to get up online, and then we should be contemporaneous, I would think, within less than 2 weeks. I even thought that after that, I might be able to occasionally bring in one of the past ones and put it up.
You think we could? Did we ever reveal our our projects concerning the birthday party and the?
Did we tell them?
I don't think we did.
Well, they're on the shows.
Yeah.
But those aren't the ones that are up because there were 2. The first 2 were from August or early fall last year. 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
I think 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 are the first 3 from January and early February.
So maybe
and we're continuing then through February into March here. So I was going to get those all loaded up and then keep the regular. Do it every week, or whenever we do a show, we'll put it up. Try to be contemporaneous.
So should we do the reveals next week?
Yeah. Want to?
The birthday party.
We can do
one
that.
of the heaven.
Yeah.
And the reveal on the intro.
Yeah. We've been doing a lot of show and tell lately, and I think one of the things I like that you would do sometimes is feature a composer.
Okay,
something like that. You guys haven't seen a lot of that stuff because we were too still in the Stone Age regarding our digital ability.
We're
catching up.
Flub-ups. We flubbed up, okay? We're only human.
But I do enjoy the editing sometimes. Like, did you see it?
Almost
0005?
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, what was that?
You
guys finally get to number 5.
Yeah.
My partner Laura absolutely would not use the toilet with the door open and flush the toilet, but it kind of sounds like that. And there was nobody back in here.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, near the beginning of the show, we're talking,
Yeah.
and there's this whoosh,
Yeah.
and I just flash up on the screen. What the hell was that? Because we seem to be oblivious to it.
Yeah, we were.
But the microphone caught something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that was weird.
And then it must have been really warm on January 25th
Yeah.
because we had the door open, obviously, because you can hear one of the trains.
Yeah.
We live a little ways west of there's the train that cuts all the way through Columbus, goes up to Delaware and beyond.
Yeah.
It's over there. The tracks are over there. It's very pleasant at night. You can hear them a little bit in the distance. Woo! You know.
Yeah.
But the door was open, and there was rarely an afternoon when that came through.
Yeah.
And then occasionally the wind could get a little too obstreperous, and we'll hear the wind chimes out there. So, but anyway, if you guys
Thanks for joining us.
know what that sound is, let us know on the forum.
Oh, and by the way, if you liked our content, give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Give us any comments or ideas you might have.
And go to Facebook and join the forum.
Subscribe. Tell your family and friends to
Subscribe
subscribe.
big time, because eventually then we can like travel and take the show places, and we can get coats and hats and T-shirts. And what's the other thing? Oh, get professional people to do all the heavy lifting.
The production crew. Yeah, we could use one of those.
So
yes, stick with us, folks. It's going to get exciting.
oh,
It's going to get really exciting.
we're going to promise that.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit sometimes probably like watching paint dry on the wall, but we enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
We're very zen.
Yes.
Zen Master Piano Geeks. Maybe that we should change our name.
I think Marc and Elmer will
Marc and Elmer.
suffice.
So I am Mark,
I'm Elmer.
and this is PSI. Thanks for being here, folks. See you next time.